In this exercise, I'm going to use AutoCAD 3D in modeling this pressure vessel. And for your reference, please click the link below to my blog for detailed dimension. From top view, draw a circle. So C for circle command, click anywhere on the screen, type D for diameter option, and enter 2200 millimeters. Before we proceed, go down to your status bar and hover over polar tracking symbol. Right click and select tracking setting, and under polar tracking, type 45 degrees for increment angle. So type L for line command, connect quadrant to quadrant. Another line, quadrant to quadrant. Right click to repeat line, and from midpoint, follow that green dash line and hit that intersection. Bring your drawing to southwest isometric. Now I'm going to draw the skirt first. And this is the dimension 2200 by 1500 millimeters, which is the distance from this point up to this point. So what I'm going to do is extrude this one for 1500. The next thing to do is the body of the vertical vessel, which is from this point up to this point is 6500. So type C for circle command, locate center, click the quadrant, select circle, extrude command from the ribbon, and type 6500 millimeters. Bring your drawing to front view. Now we're going to draw this elliptical dish head. Start with line and enter 2200, which is the diameter of that dish head, and then obtain the height, which is from this point up to this point, by dividing the diameter into 4. So height is equal to D divided by 4, which is 550. So line again, from midpoint, enter 550. And for the crown radius, which is this one here, multiply diameter by 0.9, and the result is 1980. So type C for circle, and from the endpoint, enter 1980 for radius. Move this circle from quadrant to the endpoint. Draw a line from endpoint upward, repeat line, TR for trim command, enter twice, remove this one, and that. And for the knuckle radius, multiply diameter by 0.17, which is 374, which is this one here. So go to solid, or stay here, and click fillet for 2D, and go down to the command prompt, click radius, and enter 374. Click this line and click this object, right click to repeat fillet, click this line and click this one. Type TR for trim command, enter twice, click this one, and remove these unwanted segments. Now add a straight face, which is this one here. So line command from in point downward is 50 millimeters, and to your right for 1100. Click the in point, delete this one, join the segments, revolve command from the ribbon, click the object, specify axis start point, bring your cursor down and enter 360 degrees. Mirror this one. So type MI for mirror command, enter, click the object, enter again, and specify first point of mirror line, which is from here up to here, and select no. I'm gonna move this object or dish head from center. First, I'm gonna move that away. Move, locate center, shift right click, hover over this edge and click that plus, the lower plus here, and then attach it to the center here. Shift right click, select center. I'm just gonna turn off the grid. And for this one, move, shift right click, click center, hover over the edge, and click that upper, there are two pluses here. I'll click that first one, or the top part, and attach it to the center here. I'm just gonna use X-ray. The next step to do is to create the flanges. The first flange would be the DN 150 or diameter nominal 150 with 150 rating, and whose projection is 200 millimeters from the outer diameter of the vessel to the face of the flange. And this flange is attached to nozzle 1 as marked here, N1. So let's bring our drawing to front view. And I'm going to change this to 2D wireframe. And if you remember what we did earlier, we draw these lines as guides. These lines are actually the location of the nozzles looking from top view, which is this one. And the first nozzle or the first flange that we're gonna do is the N1, so which is this one here. And the distance for that from the datum line or from elevation 1500, which is here, is 2000. Select the guides, move from center to the center. See the plus sign? Select the one on the very top. I'm going to bring this to top view. I'm going to select this line, which is this line here, and move it upward for 2000. So move and enter 2000. So this is where we're gonna draw our nozzle and our flange. Now I'm gonna change the direction of the Z, or the Z vector. So grab Z from the coordinates panel, click anywhere on the screen, and bring the direction of your Z towards that direction, which is parallel to this line. Now I'm gonna draw the nozzle first. So circle, type D for diameter option, and enter 219.1. And the thickness of that nozzle is 110.15. So extrude this one for 110.15. And for the flange, I'm gonna draw another circle. Locate center, snap the quadrant, shift right click and select quadrant. Repeat circle, locate center, type D for diameter option, and the diameter is 251.84. And the distance from this point up to this point is 73. So what I'm gonna do is move this one for 73. Select loft from the ribbon. Select the circle and this circle. Enter twice. Draw another circle. From center, type D for diameter option and enter 342.9. Extrude this circle, and the thickness for that is 28.6, which is this one here. So extrude command and enter 28.6. I'm gonna change this to shaded with edges. So this one is the nozzle. This two is the flange. So what I'm gonna do is combine this one and this one. Now it's one object. I'm gonna change this to X-ray. And this is our guide, this line. I'm gonna create a line for projection from endpoint for 200. As stated here, projection is 200 millimeters, and attach. So the 200 millimeters again is from the outside diameter up to that endpoint. Shift right click and locate the center of the flange and attach it to the endpoint of the line. And the next thing to draw is the flange attached to nozzle 2, which is this one here on top. The nominal size of the flange attached to nozzle 2 is 200 with a pressure rating of 150, and its projection is 200, which is from the face of the flange up to the tip of the dish. So I'm just gonna draw a guide or construction line. So type L for line command enter. Specify first point, which is the center of the face of the dish. So it should be that the first plus sign, the lower one. And bring it up for 600, which is the height of the dish. Line again from endpoint and enter 200, which is the projection here. Now I'm gonna bring the I'm gonna hide this one except for the flange to get the dimensions here. So bring your drawing to front view. Draw a circle from this point up to this point is 342.9, which is the diameter. So center of the circle is from endpoint. But we have to change first the direction of the Z. It should be parallel to the direction of this line. So C for circle. Click the endpoint. Type D for diameter option and enter 342.9, which is this one here. Maybe X-ray. Extrude this one downward. For thickness for that is this endpoint to this endpoint is 28.6. So extrude this one for 28.6. Draw another circle. Type D for diameter option and enter 251.84. And draw another circle from center. Type D for diameter option and enter 219.1. And the distance from this point to this point is 73. So I'm going to move this circle for 73. Use loft command. Click the circles. Enter twice. And the distance or the height of the nozzle from endpoint to endpoint is 107.4. So draw a circle from center. Click the quadrant. Select the circle and extrude it for 107.4. I'm going to join these two. So union command. Now this is one object, nozzle, flange. And the next one is N3, which is nozzle 3. I'm just going to bring back my reference drawing. And I think nozzle 3 is this one here, which is 4,500 from the datum line. So I'm gonna bring the guide upward, which is this one here, which is also this one looking from top view. And we're gonna bring it upward from datum line from this point up to this point. So click this line, move, click anywhere on the screen as base point, and move it upward for 4,500. I'm gonna change this to shaded with edges or X-ray maybe, and draw a line from endpoint, and the projection for this one, the entry or nozzle tree, is 150, so enter 150. And the size of the flange attached to nozzle tree is 10 with 150 pressure rating with a projection of 150. So I'm gonna bring the detailed dimension of nozzle tree. So click Z-axis vector and click the endpoint here to endpoint. Draw a circle. Somewhere here, type D for diameter option and enter 228.6. Right click to repeat circle, locate center, and enter D for diameter option and enter 131.38. Another circle, locate center, type D for diameter option and enter 114.3. The thickness for this one, the biggest circle, is this one here, which is 23.8. So I'm going to extrude this one towards this direction for 23.8. And the next one is for this circle, which is this one here, and this circle and this circle, and the distance for that is 52.4. So I'm gonna move the smaller one, move to the opposite direction for 52.4. Click this drop down arrow, select loft, click this circle and this circle, enter twice. Draw another circle from center, click that quadrant, click that circle and extrude it for 81.54, which is from this point up to this point. So this is our nozzle. So use union command, click this object, and this is our flange. Now move this nozzle and flange from the center of the face to the end point of this guide. The next flange to draw is the flange attached to nozzle 4, and the distance of this nozzle from the datum line from here up to here is 750. I'm just gonna change this to 2D wireframe. And I think this is the one, just to make sure. I'm gonna bring this to top view. I think this is the line, which is also N4, is this line here. Select that line and move it upward. Use click anywhere as base point and bring your cursor up for 750 units. I'm going to draw another line for projection. The projection here is 200 millimeters. So from endpoint, enter 200. And for the detail dimension for nozzle 4, now change again the direction of the z-axis vector from this endpoint to this endpoint and draw a circle. Type D for diameter option and enter. The biggest one is 381. Just gonna check it again. 381. Yeah, exact 381. C for circle again. Locate center, type D for diameter option, and enter 251.84. So circle, locate center, type D for diameter option, and enter 219.1. Our thickness for this face of the flange is 41.3. So I'm going to extrude this one towards this direction for 41.3. I'm going to create this loft from this point up to this point for 69.8. So I'm going to move this smaller one. Move for 69.8. Create the loft. So click this drop down arrow. Click this circle and this circle. Enter twice. And for the nozzle, draw another circle from center and snap the quadrant. Click that circle and extrude it for 100.65. I'm gonna change this to shaded with edges. I'm gonna combine these two. So union command from the ribbon. So flange, and this is the nozzle. Now I'm gonna attach. So move, attach the face, center of the face to the end point of that guide. And the next nozzle to draw, I'm just gonna, in object isolation, is this one here, which is this one. This is N5. So I'm gonna draw a line from center of the dish and bring your cursor downward for 906. And bring your cursor to the left side for 1100, which is half of the diameter of the vessel. And the projection is 150, so add another 150. the distance from the center here to the center of the, coming down from the center of this elbow is 120 as shown here. So what I'm going to do is adjust the size of the elbow of this line to make room for the elbow for 120. Stretch this one for 120 and add line for 120 and another line for 120. And the size of the pipe is 88.9. Circle. Type D for the diameter option and enter 88.9. We need more of this circle. So copy, maybe about 5. So this is for our pipe, elbow, nozzle, and the nipple. So go to home. Just gonna bring this to front view or right view. And select fillet edge and click this line and this line to create the elbow. And select sweep command from the ribbon. Click this circle, enter, and click this elbow. Right click to repeat sweep. Click this circle, enter, and click this pipe. Right click to repeat sweep. Click this circle and select this nozzle. Again, but this one is way too high, and the distance for and the size of the, not the size, the length of the nipple here is 186.7. So what I'm gonna do is erase this one, draw line from center, shift right click, click center, and bring it upward for 186.7. So sweep command, click this circle, enter, and select this path. Just gonna erase that. Now we're gonna draw the flange. So this is the dimension of the flange. Circle, center. First, we have to change the direction of the z-axis vector parallel to this pipe. So circle, center, snap the quadrant, another circle, locate center, type D for diameter option, and enter 102.18. And move this one for 46.1. Click this drop down arrow and select loft. Click the circles, enter twice. Draw another circle, locate center, type D for diameter option, and enter 190.5. And the thickness for that is 23.8. So extrude this one. Click this drop down arrow and select extrude command and enter 23.8. I'm just going to change this to shaded with edges. I'm going to combine these two. And this is the nozzle, the flange. And the next part to draw is the bottom plate. First, change the direction of your Z-axis vector and make it parallel to the direction of the vessel. So type C for circle command, click at center. Type D for diameter option and enter 2450. And the thickness for that is 40. Click that circle. Extrude it upward for 40. I'm just gonna change this to shaded with edges. Realistic. I think we're done. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon for notification, and see you again for the next tutorial.